Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Dad's Podcast, the podcast where we celebrate and honor the life of one Mitchell Brinkley Jr. My name is Mitchell Brinkley III, and once again, my dad is not here. I wanted to go ahead and do another small little segment this week. This episode is still based off of episode 2, the episode where he talks about his first marriage. In this episode, he was a little reluctant to talk about how the relationship ended, and in kind of coaching him through it, we had a little bit of back and forth about why podcasts like this can be necessary. I've had a lot of friends over the years who got married, and for whatever reason, the marriage did not work out quite the way they planned. And I told my dad that this would be a good tool for those who couldn't or didn't know whether or not they could make the marriage work. And so he gave a little bit of good sage advice. And so I wanted to go ahead and give you that. Once again, please, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe to YouTube, to my YouTube page, I should say, and leave a comment below. Also, if you want to, for those who know me, want to go to my Facebook page and send me a comment about the podcast, please feel free to do that as well. So without further ado, here is my dad's podcast, How to Make It Work. Well, maybe anyone that's listening to this right now, I know I have a lot of friends of mine who are married. Everyone's first time, whether it's love, whether it's just puppy love, or dating, or what have you,
right,
or whether it's marriage, marriage and kids. It can be hard that first time if you don't have everything lined up the way you think it's supposed to. It doesn't matter whether or not it is something that can work. Today's youth, but I still see people who are my age or older that go through this with their first marriage and their first kids. There are people out there who they don't have the best jobs in the world. If I know them, they probably don't.
Right.
I'm just saying. But, no. And maybe their significant other don't have the best job in the world either, and bringing a child into the world, if at least, let alone two, may be some of the scariest things to think about. And they always say that most couples nowadays, the marriage falls apart because of monetary issues, or because of not living the way that they thought they would live once they were in the situation that they were in.
Right.
So, and I understand what you're saying. I understand your idea about it, but I think the main reason why I kind of press on this is because maybe you could give somebody a glimmer of hope, or you could give somebody a little bit of wisdom from your experience with your first time.
All right. My experience and my wisdom to other people: if you find somebody you like and you want to marry and you have children by them, stick to your goals. Number one. Make it happen. Don't variate. Don't try to date this person, another person. Don't try to make waves or what have you. Just make what you got going the best that you can, and hope that you and your spouse see the same side of the situation. So, I mean, love, it goes so far, and it can go for a long, long way. Love can go forever, and it can go for a day. But yet and still, if you don't make it happen, it's not gonna happen. So when you got kids, got a wife or whatever, y'all work together. Together. I didn't say apart. I said together,
Yeah. Yeah.
and talk things through. Understand each other. Try to make things work out, regardless how tight and how upset or distraught things get. Talk it out. Live your life. Understand each other. Don't worry about all the other stuff out there in the world. Just worry about what you got going on with you and your spouse. So that's a good thing, because basically you don't want two or three wives. Not necessarily, but sometimes it happens. But yet and still, if you talk it out with the first one, work it out with the first, no matter how young or how old you are, you can still find a way to work around it. So you can come together and say, hey, this is where I want. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to make my life. This is what, hey, I supposed to be. I want to be whatever I need to be for my kids and for my wife, regardless of how you get together or whatever. But you got to be on the same side. You know what I'm saying? You can't be
Right.
pulling opposite directions. You got to be pulling together, not away from them or apart from each other. You got to learn to live and to give and to accept what's come forward, you know, and understand that, you know. There's no right and no wrong. It's just being together and learning how to progress,
Right.
you know. So that's basically my part and what I'm trying to say. I've had, you know, places that I wanted to go, places I wanted to do. But if you're not with me or whatever, and we just go drifting apart or whatever, how you gonna pull this thing back together if you don't talk to each other? You gotta have communication. You gotta learn. You gotta have, be on the same page. In other words, so that's my philosophy. And if you're on the same page, if you have communication, you tell me how you feel, I tell you how I feel. You work together. You don't try to sugarcoat nothing. You try to bring it all out and lay it out on the table so you can understand what's going on.
Right.
You don't try to, uh, 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 deceive anybody or nothing like that. You try to make it what you want it to be.
Right.
And in other words, if you do that, everything gonna go smooth. So if in another kind of way, you can look for problems, because when one don't know what the other one thinking, you ain't gotta tell all your secrets now. I'm gonna tell you, but you gotta be honest enough so your spouse will know, hey, this is for real. This is what we want. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build this life. We're gonna keep this life. We're not gonna variate from this life.
Right.
We're gonna be on track. We're gonna stay on track, and that's what it is. And that's all I gotta say.
That was my dad talking about relationships, making it work, and trying to stay on task, and not stray because of one thing or another. I will say my dad gave me a lot of a lot of tips, I should say, while I was growing up. I was never really the type of guy who had all the ladies wanting to date me. They weren't lined up, I should say. But you know, my dad always taught me the P's and Q's. He taught me how to be polite, how to treat a lady, how to handle and minimize arguments. Make sure you stick by them. You never raise a hand to them. You never talk ugly to them, that sort of thing. And I've always tried to use his tips to try to be the most perfect gentleman I could be whenever I went out on a date or, try to start a relationship. They are simple, common sense rules. It's funny though how some people just can't manage to do that in life these days. So I just wanted to share that with you. Once again, as I said, my dad couldn't be with me on this one. He's taken a hiatus. I'm trying to figure out how much of his past he wants to share and put on the internet for all to listen to in order to tip the scales in our favor a little bit more. I will say, please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Um, you know, put a comment in the comments below about how much you liked it or what you thought about it. Or you can just Facebook me and let me know. I'll pass the word along to him. So that's it. This is a bite-sized issue of my dad's podcast for this week. And I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I'll have something a little bit longer for you. And as I always say about this time, thank you very much for listening. And I love you, Dad.